Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic Record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Hello, everybody. I am reporting live from the new Medium in the Middle HQ. We're at the headquarters. We're at my new place. We're with my new dog. Archie, say hi. Can I get a roof? Okay, maybe not, but he's here. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. If you are new here, welcome. I tell stories about my experience and my journey as a developing medium, a Reiki master teacher, just as my intro says. If you are interested in knowing my whole story, I recommend starting from episode 1. We are at episode 96. 96. Holy moly, 100's coming up. So today, just as the podcast title suggests, I want to discuss moving through fear. New puppy, new home. I have a lot of changes and I have some insights to support you if you are going into seasons of big change, or if you're looking for change, or why these things are hard, or how we move through fear. So very, very interesting. And the Akashic Records talk about this a lot. So I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I wanted to do it again today. There is no card today. Mainly because my cards have not been unpacked and I don't know where they are. So maybe I will pull one on Instagram this week when I find my cards. But if you aren't already, follow me on Instagram at Medium in the Middle. We have a good time over there. Also, if you want to see what little Archie boy looks like, he is 2.5 pounds. He is a chocolate Yorkie. His name is Archie, and we've been together now for 3 days. I have barely slept, but he is the goodest boy, and adjusting to puppy momhood is difficult, but fun. And everyone says having a puppy is hard, but I don't feel like hard is the right word. I feel like challenging, or I'm not sure. Anyways, he is sleeping under my chair right now, so let's jump into announcements. Announcements, what do I have for you? I am bringing back the Meeting in the Middles, my monthly meetings. They are coming back for September. When I get off vacation mode, I will have a date and a subject for you to report, but that is coming back. And there are 2 Level 2 Reiki courses being offered in October. Both dates are about half full. So if you are Reiki Level 1 certified, and if it has been at least 21 days since your Reiki Level 1, you are eligible to take your Reiki Level 2. All of the links will be down below in the show notes for that. And my other announcement is I am on vacation right now, quote unquote, but I am back to work September 1st. So if you are looking for Distance Reiki, Akashic Records, PSYCH-K, that is all coming back September 1st. I am booked up for a few days there, but you can still get in September. Okay, so let's jump right into today because I did share a little bit about this on Instagram. So if you follow me there, I already had a few posts. But it's interesting when we go through change, when we go through something, how our bodies physically react. So this question gets asked a lot in the Akashic Records, like how do I tell the difference between intuition and fear? And the records always have something different to say, but what I always say is you need to know how your body reacts. In the same way, it's like, how do you know when you're happy? How do you know when you're sad? How do you know when you're in fear and it's your intuition kicking in? You need to know this. So the more you can kind of understand yourself and know your patterns and behaviors, this makes it a lot easier. So I know my patterns and behaviors. I always have like a panic attack and I go into like, did I make the right choice? Did I not make the right choice? Is this good? Is my intuition steering me wrong? Am I sure this is what I want? What if I don't want this? What's the opposite? And I spiral for about 3 days. And it's like the worst. So it goes from like a super high of like, I'm making this change, I'm doing it. This happens like for anything big in my life. So when I purchased this house for 3 days after I had a panic attack, whenever I get a tattoo, because they're permanent, I always have panic attacks. I'm getting better now because I know that's just my body reacting, but tattoos are a huge trigger for me. And then when I got this dog, I freaked out. I was like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? Why did I get this dog? I'm moving. Do I have time for a dog? Do I want to be a dog mom? La da 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 da. And I'm using the example now and today of a dog mom, but you can apply this to whatever is going on in your life. It doesn't have to be a puppy, but for me, this was a very, very big trigger and it brought up a lot for me to deal with. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. So when I say this gets brought up in the records a lot, what I mean is that people ask this question in the records a lot. And I love when people ask this question because awareness, you are trying to be aware into what you're not, right? So this is beautiful. And it always is, again, I can use the puppy as an example. What does he do before he has to pee? Okay, he runs around in a circle. I see him start to sniff. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm learning that means I got to take him out and he has to pee. You are the exact same way. So while it seems simple in, puppy form of like, okay, he starts to walk in a circle, that means he has to pee. That means I have to take him outside, cause and effect. When we're dealing with ourselves, it's like, okay, I'm second guessing myself. Okay, I'm starting to think that I don't want what I know I want. Okay, I'm starting to think of all the bad things that could happen. Nope, I just do this when I'm about to make a big change. Nope, I just do this when there's da da da. So this is what we mean by know your behaviors, know your actions. We can talk about a puppy and it'd be literally very literal. But when it comes to ourselves, it's like learning what do we need to know about ourselves? What are our behaviors? And then how do we still move forward knowing those behaviors? So it's like, okay, yeah, the puppy's going in a circle. Now what do we do? Well, we need to take him outside. Okay, you're being scared and maybe second guessing everything. Now what do we do? Do we stop everything and turn around? Well, no. Or do we move forward and figure out a way to move through this fear? So I shared this a lot that it's like our bodies double check, and it's only natural and human for us to have this double check, to have this like, are you sure you want it? Are you sure we're doing it? Are you sure we're moving forward with this? And if you don't, then it's just, yeah, the double check of like, do you really want this or do you not really want this? Because if you don't want the puppy, don't commit and send the deposit. If you do want the puppy, you better send the money and commit. So I will tell the puppy story because I know that it's exciting and, of course, a manifestation story. But I don't always want to share just the beautiful manifestation side of things. I also want to share the hard work side of things aren't always rainbows and butterflies. Things are difficult. Big decisions are hard. They're still hard for me. I am not exempt from any of these feelings. I am not exempt from, the emotions that I have to move through. So it's really important that I share this as well so that in my journey and my development, I still have to move through these challenges. So before we jump too far ahead, I want to share about how I learned what my body does when it's in fear, but I still need to move forward. So this isn't like, ooh, bad gut feeling, stop, abort, turn around. This is not that. This is fear that's like crippling and tries to stop you in your tracks and tries to make moving forward seem hard and impossible. So I did learn this through tattoos. And it's interesting because tattoos are permanent, obviously. And when I want a tattoo, I usually want it for at least 6 months, sometimes multiple years. I'll have an idea, I'll have a theme. And then I have this like process of like, well, what if I don't like the drawing? Well, what if I don't like the person? Well, what if I want to cancel my appointment? Well, then I'll lose my deposit. Well, what if I don't like the placement? Well, what if da da da? And I go through it. And it's like pumping myself up to get to the appointment. And then when I get there, it's like acting cool. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Get this tattoo. And then afterwards, I'm like, what did I do? It's on me forever. So I don't do that anymore, but for my first like 10 tattoos, I definitely did. I was like, oh my God. And then after 10 times, I was like, wait, this always happens. And then literally after a 3-day panic attack, I'm obsessed with a tattoo that I've been wanting for however long. And it's always, fine. I'm not like, oh my God, I wish I didn't have this. Where's the magic eraser for this tattoo? It's like, hell yeah, love it, stoked on it. Why was I ever, freaking out? Whatever. So that's how I learned my behavior, was through me having these 3-day panic attacks whenever I got a tattoo. Like I'd plan for them. I'm like, okay, tattoo Wednesday, I'll be freaking out till Friday. By Saturday, I'll love it. So I can, chill out by Saturday. So because I know that behavior, when it came up for the house, I was like, oh, here's the 3-day panic attack, like arriving right on time. And then when it came up for the puppy, I'm like, oh, here's the 3-day panic attack. It's arriving right on time. That's my fear, but I still need to move forward. I still know I want these things. I still know I've been talking about them forever and a day. And that's the difference of moving forward and getting what you want, what you desire, what you've been thinking of, or stopping, turning around, and going the other way. So this is where like I feel a lot of people get stuck or they stop. So I don't even know if stuck is the right word, because there's so much uncertainty and you might not know that these behaviors of yours are fear. They're not something that's trying to stop you or turn you around. It's a test. And you are being tested and seeing how you react. So it's interesting to see how you react. So your options are, number 1, move through the fear, move forward, move through it. Be fearful, deal with the emotions. Number 2, don't do it. Don't move forward. Don't get what you want. Don't buy the house. Don't get the puppy. Don't get the tattoo. And then live forever knowing you wanted a house, puppy, tattoo, and you never got one. You never tried. You never did it. And in my logical thinking mind, that alternative, that like duality of this or that, scares me more than moving through the fear. So if like step 1 doesn't work, step 2 is, well, what if you just never do it? What if you just never try? What if you just never move forward? Are you fine with that? Because if you're not fine with that, then you need to make a change. If you are fine with that, then live exactly as you're living and things won't change. You get a choice, but it's just like where we need to make the decision, we need to make the choice, but then we have to move with the choice. And it's not going to always be easy. And when you think of things as tests, it's like, okay, how am I going to pass this test? How am I going to get through this obstacle course? How am I going to react? How am I going to be? How am I going to get to the finish line of this test? And you guys know I'm a CrossFitter, so I always view it as, when I go to the gym, I view workouts as mental tests, mental toughness. Oh my God, we have to do this for 10 rounds. I won't be able to do more than 6. And when I'm at 6 and I'm ready to give up, I'm like, no, we're pushing till 10. Oh, I have to go faster every single round. I don't think I can. And then I make myself because I know I can. So I use the gym as my mental toughness of how I flex that muscle. But then I apply that in real life of being like, okay, what's going on here? What do I need to adjust? How do I need to move? So the second part of this that I want to discuss is the change that happens. So you have something that you want, whatever it may be. Maybe it's trying something new. Maybe it's leaving your job. Maybe it's, this can be extreme, this can be little. And I want you to think about, you want something new, you want the change, you get the change, and then what? And the part 2 of this, which I really enjoy, is the who are you being now? What version of yourself are you creating? And how are you acting, being, showing up? Like, what does your reality look like now? And that's where like the fun comes in, I find. So again, I'm going to keep using this puppy because that's what I'm going through right now. But you can apply this to your own life and what you're going through. But it's like, okay, I want the puppy. I want a puppy. I want a puppy. I want a puppy. I've been saying I want a puppy for years. Never really took myself seriously. No one really took me seriously. And then finally I found this dog that I fell in love with. And I'm like, ooh, I want a puppy. I want a puppy. I want him. And then you like pay the deposit and you're like, ooh. And then you go pick up the dog and you're like, ooh. And now I'm a dog mom. And it's like, okay, now who am I being as this dog mom? How do I act? How do I behave? What are my boundaries? What are my rules? How am I raising this dog? Who am I being now that I've made this change? And that's where you get to create your life. That's where I get to decide what type of dog mom am I? What type of homeowner am I? What type of person am I when I XYZ? Who are you being when you decide you're going to become, be, change, do whatever you want to? And this is where you create your own reality, and anything is possible because you're creating it and you're being it and you're doing it. So this is where I find like the fun comes in, or it's where it's like, oh yeah, I did want to be a dog mom. Now I am. Now who am I being? Oh my gosh, I'm this fun person who has a dog and takes him out, and he's Banff's newest good boy, and everybody on the streets love him, and he's gonna go to CrossFit, and oh my gosh, we're best friends. I mean, not right now because, he's keeping me up at night because he just has to pee all the time, but that's fine because mentally I can have less sleep and I can take breaks and I can move through this, and there's so many lessons that are coming with it. So I think I want to save the puppy story for a whole nother podcast because they're different. But what I wanted to talk about today was the fear portion of making a big decision or a big change in your life. And then how do you move through that? What do you do then? Because I know this comes up for probably every single one of you listening of, okay, I want something. How do I get it? Or what's my intuition? What's fear? What's holding me back? How do I move through this stuff? And the answer always is learn your behaviors, recognize them, and then figure out a way to move forward. There is no cheat sheet. I always say this. There is no shortcut. You got to figure it out. You got to know the behaviors, and then you have to keep moving forward. I have to keep pushing forward in order to get what you want. So in the puppy example, I had to message the seller. Then I had to call her on the phone. Then I had to talk. Then there's pictures. Then there's the deposit. Then there's communication. Then there's whatever there is, but keep those baby steps moving and going. When I sent the deposit for this dog, I freaked out. I was like, what am I doing? I'm committing. Oh my gosh, this is scary. But what if I didn't do it and I didn't have him? The duality will always move me forward. So I hope that helps you push forward through your fears, through what you want to create. And if that doesn't, the last third thing I will give you is think about if you never tried. So you can try and fail and, imagine the worst thing that could possibly happen. Okay, that happens. The worst thing possibly happens. And okay, now what? At least the worst thing happened, or the best possible thing could happen, right? So it's like, are you willing, again, to not try or to not do it? And everything has a choice. And it was funny because when my dad was here, he was like, well, if anything happens, I'll take Archie. And I was kind of like, well, what would happen? He's like, well, just if anything happens where you can't have him, like, I'll take him, send him to me. And I was kind of thinking like, Dad, you're crazy. But literally a week before, I was like, what happens if I can't have this puppy? So then life again comes around and tests you where it's like, hey, you said that da-da-da, and now da-da-da. So yes, very interesting. We are like babies. We are like puppies where we have behaviors, we have patterns, we have cause and effect. When you start running in a circle, does that mean you got to pee? And these are the things we need to be aware of so that we can move forward. So I hope that was helpful because, again, it came up for me where I was having a really, really hard time with all these changes. And I was like, stop, Steph, wait a minute. You know exactly what's happening. You know exactly why you're behaving this way. You know exactly why this is coming up. You know exactly this behavior. You've seen it before. This is not new. Yes, the anxiety might seem new. Yes, the worry might seem new, but this has happened before. We've been here. We've done that. I know what's going on. And I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to keep moving forward, even though it's not easy. So I hope that helps you. I hope that gives you the swift kick in the bum to move on what you've been waiting to move on, to act, to decide, to take your fear and look it right in the eyes and be like, see you, and you're coming with me because we're still doing this. So be mindful of your behaviors. Treat yourself like a new puppy. Treat yourself like a newborn baby and be like, what am I doing when I'm hungry? What am I doing when I have to pee? In the same way, what am I doing when I'm in fear? So that's what I wanted to bring you this week. I came out of vacation mode to record this for you because I love the podcast. I love connecting with you guys. I am back to regular scheduled programming, and next week, almost all my visitors will be gone. I've had brother, dad, mom's here now. I have cousins coming next week. So again, lots of things I need to work on and move through. Having people in my space is something very difficult for me, but it's a challenge I know I need to work on. So, yes, this is all I have for you today. Thank you for listening. If you want to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at Medium in the Middle. If you are an iTunes user, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review on this podcast. It really helps the podcast grow. And if you want to see Archie Boy, come to my Instagram at Medium in the Middle. If you would like to book an appointment with me, Akashic Records, Distance Reiki, PSYCH-K, register for a Reiki course, that's all on my website. The link will be down below in the show notes, themediuminthemiddle.com. And that's all from me this week. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope you go out and do something that scares you. On the last note that I will leave you with, I used to work for Lululemon. I reference this a lot. And on the old Lululemon bags, I don't even know if it still says it anymore, it says, do one thing a day that scares you. And one thing a day is big, but, in Lulu, we did have to do that. And I still keep that in my mind. I was like, okay, do one thing a day that scares me so that this fear doesn't seem so crippling. It doesn't seem so stop you dead in your tracks. It's like, no, know this, still moving forward. So here am I, Medium in the Middle, telling you, listeners, middlers, to do one thing a day that scares you, or one thing this week that scares you, and then see how you behave, how you react. All right, guys, thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye.